On camera. Good. I don't know if I feel confident in the audio. You're recording a pod episode? Okay. All right. Hi. Hi. Are we live? We're live. We're good. What's up, your
Fire away.
All right. Starting at 11:31 in 5.
Well. What have we here?
What have we here? Welcome. Woo! And hello. Welcome to We the Peeps. This is the American Soccer Podcast in which you're going to get to know everything that you need to know about the USMNT. I'm Clayton, and I'm an artist. Hi, I'm an entrepreneur.
I'm Amish.
That's it, bro. And we love the Nats.
Especially today. It's hard not to today. Good God.
We're falter in.
Oh my goodness.
Insert here. And insert. Folks, the game was USA. Oh, none other than, it's the biggie. USA versus Mexico. Oh my God. We have so much to go.
CONCACAF.
El Clásico CONCACAF. El Pepito, CONCACAF. We did it. We did it. Spoiler alert. 2-0. We are back in the supreme one spot for World Cup qualifying. We have won our third vital game versus Mexico in a row, and there looks to be no end in sight to the greatness that is this era of American soccer. It's a wonderful night to be a fan of the Nats. Thank you for joining us. We're so glad to have you. Before we get into all this, a little bit of housekeeping. So real quick, if you are already subscribed to our YouTube channel, you know that we are streaming this live via YouTube. That's the quickest way to get all of the episodes before any editing or anything like that. You can just watch us hang out and attempt to record this podcast that you know and love, or at least like just fine.
know and maybe like.
That you are okay with. You can also support us. Please do by following us on Twitter at WTPPod. Super helpful for us. Helps us get the word out about stuff that we're doing, and it helps us stay connected with you in between Fs. Tell us what your favorite club team is, or what's going on with you. Just in general, we like being connected with you. So follow us on Twitter. 5 stars, please. We recently got to 100 5-star reviews. Guys, thank you so much. That is glossy. I can fuck with that. 105 stars. We might have someone joining us later in the pod to read some of those 5-star reviews. So thank you for doing that. I hope you feel like it.
Well-known individual.
Very well-known individual. Super grateful for that. And of course, for anyone who is already supporting us on Patreon, please understand that your contribution makes this show possible. It is not free. In fact, it is wildly expensive if you really think about it. So the opposite of free. And we try really hard to do this show, and it's super helpful that many of you, some of you, have decided to support us with $5.
Many of you, some of you, a few of you.
A number of you.
A number.
Decided to support us with $5.
A number.
On Patreon at WTPPod. So it's patreon.com/WTPPod. Makes a huge difference. Please consider doing that if you're enjoying the show and if you like seeing the Nats beat Mexico 2-0. One way to contribute to that culture to make this happen even more is with $5 on the Patreon. And housekeeping. Oh, my Lanta. Hold on. I have to sleep because I'm going to delete this. Oh, I got something on my nerves. All right.
Nerds.
Stop. YouTube only.
YouTube only.
Content.
Content.
Right.
You get this.
End of houser keeping. Guys, let's get it popping. There's only one way to get this started, and that's by Google searching the starting lineup so that you can know that our starting goalkeeper is named Jack Stevens. Oh, let's get it popping, Google.
We're going to talk about this. We'll come back. We'll come back
to this. We'll tweet out the screenshot. It is true. It is facts that Zach is
original lineup.
Jack Stevens.
Wow.
Thank you guys. Okay.
Wow.
Both gloves Jack. Both gloves Jack Stevens. No Matt Turner today. Might just be fine. I feel like I've already forgotten.
How do you know him?
How do you know him? How do you know him? Okay, in the back we're gonna have the Robinson family band: Anthony Jedi Robinson, Walker Zimmerman, Miles Robinson, Skywalker Zimmerman, Walk Miles. Anyone? Nah.
We're gonna
And
workshop
Andre D. Yedlin. It's your boy, Andre D. Yedlin. We love him. Okay, center midfield. It doesn't get much better than this, guys. You know him. You just know him. You just love him. You just miss it. Tyler Adams at the 6. The Imperial Tyler Adams. Captain Tyler Adams. West on. Manifest Western. The West is yet to come. Weston McKenzie. And up front, we are going to have the front three of not Christian Pulisic. Not starting at least. We're going to start with Timothy Weah, the world's future leader, future president of the United Nations.
President-elect. If it's Dag to be president of Liberia, why can't he be president of the United States? I want him in charge. I want him in charge.
We'll put him in charge of anything. And right now, he's in charge of the Nats. Timothy Weah. Up top versus his very own Mexico, Ricardo Pepi. And of course, Brendan A.A. Ramswansong. Okay, guys, this game. First half, not too much stands out. The first half kind of blends together a little bit. We would come out of it 0-0. It was quiet, but what I noticed most about the first half in telling this story is that the U.S. came out with better soccer playing. That is what we saw. We saw 45 minutes of the U.S. playing the better soccer. A couple naive mistakes, and Mexico had some serious chances. It felt good to see the U.S. playing well. In fact, better than Mexico, straight up better. But it also felt concerned because it looked like Mexico may have the wily edge and may just be ready to catch us on an immature moment at any time. There was some concern there. But we would make it to the half, for better or for worse, 0-0. Right? There could have had some more clear-cut chances. We didn't, but we didn't let in any of those things. Okay. Coming back in the second half, this game would light the fuck up after about 10-15 minutes in the second half. My read is this started with a Tyler Adams Tata Martino scuffle, in which Tata Martino did a head pat motion on Tyler Adams.
There's going to be a great analysis.
We'll figure it all out. We'll get all the watches on it right now. This game started to get chippy. It started to get a little bit more aggravated. The referee started to get involved more. Hilarious referee, by the way, until I thought he was funny after the first half, and
it was adorable.
And I'm about to tell you this guy's fall from grace. Okay, so after the Tyler Adams situation, there was then a Brendan Aronson situation where who is the Mexican player that?
Chaca Rodriguez.
Chaca Rodriguez. I guess the only way to describe it is rakes his fingernails across the face of Brendan Aronson.
He grabs his face and shoves his fingers into his face.
That's what happened. His actual face. So Brendan Aronson ends up, I think by happenstance, already being subbed out for one Christian Pulisic. Have you heard of him? Have you heard of him? Aronson, just a little bit of relief. Aronson comes off the field looking like he got tear gassed in the face because he kind of did, and this kind of erupts into this big argument that Weston McKenzie gets involved in. Everyone's involved in it, and Pulisic takes the field. Right after that, Mexico gets a couple chances. Once again, feeling like maybe Mexico is the wily one here. Maybe Mexico, am I somehow, I feel like I'm using the word wily as potentially cancelable in some way that I don't understand yet, but feeling like Mexico is the smarter team here, the more mature team, disrupting the smooth play from the U.S. with this sort of this CONCACAF bullshit, and carved out a couple chances. There was a free kick that Jack Stephen did a really nice job coming down.
It's your boy.
Man City,
Jack Stephen.
And then Ander.
That's what Pep calls him.
Jack Ander. The U.S. would break through with a glorious Tim Weah dribbles, sauce on sauce, double scissors, cross to what has to be Pulisic's third touch at most. I thought maybe his first of the game. U.S. goes one up. It's a Pulisic's header from a very slick Tim Weah cross. Amazing. Still very tense, this situation, I have to say. This went from being a soccer game to being sort of a chaotic mess, which is what we know and love about USA versus Mexico. And luckily for us, there were some other shit went down. But luckily for us, Weston McKennie would at first dummy this ball to Jesus Ferreira, who would then it would bobble off a Mexican defender and somehow come back to Weston McKennie. And just in the smoothest McKennie fashion, as we maybe are coming to expect, he slots this one away to the left side past David Ochoa. David Ochoa?
Not David Ochoa.
Memo Ochoa.
In the future, it'll be David Ochoa.
Past one of them Ochoa.
He'll get to experience the pleasure of getting beat over.
This game could have been 3-0. It didn't end 3-0. It ended 0-0. I'm not sure if it gets any better than that. Hi, what were your first impressions?
So coming out of the U.S. wins in the Gold Cup final, the Nations League final this summer, we went into this qualifying campaign feeling really good about where the U.S. was at in comparison to Mexico. As the U.S. started qualifying, they were not convincing. They didn't fulfill the promise that they had showed in those moments. And so we started to waver as to whether this really was the U.S.'s moment to start to put a stamp of authority on the CONCACAF region. And today we got some very, very good confirmation that this U.S. generation, this U.S. team is ready to be the top dog in CONCACAF. The team has not had to go to a tough away game yet and get a result. And so we're going to learn a lot in those future matches when the U.S. faces even more adversity. But I think we can safely say at this moment that the U.S. has more talent, more footballing talent than Mexico. And that is something we've not been able to say
in our lifetime.
So it is a truly special moment for the U.S. national team to see this young generation come out to ball, not just to disrupt Mexico, not just to be more athletic or be stronger, or disrupt Mexico, but to beat Mexico with our soccer. So it's a beautiful thing. I can't believe what I just watched, and it amazes me to see another glorious 2-0 return to the great state of Ohio, and I'm over the moon right now.
Dude, it's out of control. It's the third one. This is a different era. Guys, I need to introduce my boy Amos. Amos is with us. If you weren't on the live stream, it's your first chance to meet Amos. I grew up with Amos, and he low-key knows a lot. Has been able to know most of the stuff about soccer. So, and is also just an awesome guy. So thanks for hanging out.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad we did this. Wow, where to start? Yo, after seeing this, I will say I think Mexico is going to be third best.
Damn.
I will go that far.
You got Canada.
I got Canada above them right now. I mean, just seeing Mexico, really didn't create many dangerous chances. There's really two mistakes, defensive mistakes in the first half, and they couldn't even capitalize on either. I mean, Chucky Lozano's going to be a great player, but and besides that, well, then Raul Jimenez is still getting the swing of things.
It was nice to see Raul Jimenez back on the field.
It was.
Good to
It
see
was.
him, but like
But what we're seeing is the end of the generation, I feel, with this next one.
they're in the same type of transition that I think we were just a few years ago. And I mean, there's still talent enough. They're still going to qualify. We're neck and neck up front, right there, first and second. It's goal difference.
But they, like, in this qualifying campaign, if you change a couple late goals, they could actually be in trouble as well. So they've had some luck on their side to be in a position where they're like barely up to their standard.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, what do you think? How can Tata possibly keep his job after losing 3 times in a row to the U.S.? We can't remember a time this ever happened to the Mexicans.
Yeah, there was a stat that it happened in like 1930, but it had to have been Mexico. The last time there was 3.
It was
one year,
3 in the
whatever
year. It was 3 in the year.
But don't forget, weren't we like semifinalists in the World Cup way back then?
That was in the 50s, right?
We came in 4th in the first World Cup. Yeah. But so discounting this, how can Tata Martino possibly keep his job? Am I missing something?
I mean, he's going to keep. Well, I think he's going to keep it because I think the Mexican Federation knows it's probably the least talented,
Right.
like group of players they've had for a long time. I think you guys said it as well. I mean, this is probably the first time in our lifetime that the U.S. is more talented than Mexico. I mean, body for body, it's crazy to see. We have so many players in the Champions League. Mexico only has 2.
It's wild, man. It's blowing my goddamn mind. And I also, it's not just the talent, because we've kind of known that the talent was there. It's seeing what we had hoped was.
Well, yeah, we've known that the potential.
Seeing this congeal into solidity. We were kind of like marveling at how DeAndre Yedlin is this elder statesman of this team. We watched him go from being this like ridiculous firecracker, sort of doing something hilarious every game, to just being the most level-headed, like basic dude on the field. There's something very beautiful and pleasing about that.
There's a circle of life with DeAndre Yedlin. Yeah.
It's like seeing your boy like nurse. Yeah,
Like it's sober up and have a baby.
Naps and diapers and shit like that. It's awesome. I'm happy to see it. But what stands out to me about this performance is the passing, is the possession, is that this was not.
Dude,
this ended up being a heart-based win, right? At the end, somehow it became a chaotic heart-based win. But there was such a large portion of this game that was a soccer game.
Right.
The U.S. was. Woo! My body can't handle it.
You're allergic to success.
I'm allergic to success. Wait.
YouTube only, sneezing.
There was such a large portion of this game that the U.S. was showing that. It's a relief, honestly. It's a relief.
Yeah. What really surprises me about the way that this game played out is that the U.S. got the upper hand once it got chaotic. And like Clayton said, I think when those kind of moments happen, we're used to Mexico being able to capitalize on those things, being able to capitalize on the discomfort of the opponent, as they have done a couple times in qualifying when games have gotten hectic or gotten a little wild or gotten out of hand. And this often happens in these frenetic atmospheres in the U.S., particularly when they play in Dallas or they play in LA, they play in these incredibly pro-Mexico environments. And what we saw today was that when the game started to slip out of that controlled environment, the U.S. was the team that was ready to pounce on that. The U.S. was the team that was ready to grab that energy. So what do you think? Do you think that's an attribute of personnel? Is that the mentality? Is it the crowd, you know, that's
It's
more
really,
pro-US
it's really
now?
hard to quantify that. I think we saw over the summer, and we saw a similar trade. The Nations League final was won in this exact same match.
Absolutely.
And it was exciting to watch as a U.S. fan, but it lacked solidity. It lacked like assuredness. So your question is, how do you foster that?
Well, how'd that happen? Because I'm used to seeing games kind of break down and then the U.S. loses when it comes to that. So.
Well, there was once a time, I think, early on in our U.S. fandom, there was a U.S. team that won when it became about heart, and that tried to make games about heart more than about skill. And then we just got used to a different era. We got used to the Breck Shea era.
Where it didn't matter. It doesn't matter if we have heart at all. It's all good.
So, I like to believe there's just something in the crest. That there's something about us. There's that 91 team or whatever it is. That I'd like to believe that there is just something about the American ethos that makes you believe in moments like that. That's what I'm going to go with. The Disney answer.
I mean, sometimes that shit is real.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's two things. One was that Nations League final for this group of players is really the first big USA Mexico match, the one that like mattered.
Yeah.
And that shit was chaotic. Fuck.
Yeah.
That match was
From the beginning,
nuts.
from the jump.
From the jump, it was nuts. I mean, it was not pretty. I mean, it was entertaining as hell. I mean,
It was. Yeah. It
one of
was
the
great.
best games.
but I think for them, they kind of like that was, whatever type of psychological barrier was there, that put them over, and they came out with that in the final and knowing like, all right, we've been through it, okay. And two, that was, I mean, probably one of the most pro-American crowds they've played in front of in a long time.
Yeah, boom, for real. So that we did talk about that a little bit too. That it's surprising how few Mexican fans there are in the stadium. I want to add another key factor to winning games in chaotic moments. That's Christian Pulisic.
I mean,
Christian Pulisic going top bins, ice cold. Christian
Ice cold.
Pulisic, ice cold. The run he makes for this goal is not easy to make.
Yeah.
It's a Luis Suarez optimism where he accelerates in this moment where it's very hard to really believe that you're going to end up on the end of that cross.
Yeah, and I remember reflecting on sort of the incidental, but reflecting on the career of Josie Altidore. Trying to think, well, Josie Altidore is like the third top goal scorer in U.S. history. He's got like 35 goals for the U.S. And I was just thinking, well, how many of those goals actually really counted? How many of those goals were really in moments that matter? Because when I was thinking about it, I was like, he doesn't hold the candle to the other guys in the history of U.S. soccer who are on that list of those top five goal scorers. And this is what I'm talking about. Christian Pulisic is 23, 22, 23. In this year, he has scored 2 vital goals to beat Mexico. These are the kinds of things that the prior generation just had trouble ever accomplishing, with certain notable exceptions, like Michael Bradley coming up with the goal in Azteca,
Mm-hmm.
But we've just been crying out for players who would come up big in these moments to deliver those critical finishes that the team needed. And you could so easily see Josie Altidore skying that exact chance from Chinwea in some weird alternate universe over the bar.
I'm thinking of the penalty kick, the top
absolutely,
penalty
that
kick.
penalty, So it is just so it's indescribably pleasurable to see a U.S. team like deliver on what it could be in a way that prior generations have not been able to do. And I appreciate everything that they contributed, but this is a different level. I mean, this is the best U.S. team I've ever seen.
Oh, hell yeah.
Not even close.
I mean,
What happened with the crowd? Why was the crowd so pro-U.S.?
I mean, I think the way they do ticket sales these days, they make sure, especially in smaller venues, that it goes out to like U.S. soccer supported leagues.
Yeah,
Whereas, general sales and like big bucks.
yeah, they have some ways of manipulating the ticket supply, and then I think that also, I'd be curious to hear from some people who are in the stadium, because on TV, they can present it in a way that feels more pro-American than maybe it
I
actually is.
think even then, because he was big, still panning when it.
Of course, but like,
really
there have been U.S. to this point. I hear what you're saying. To this point, those games that we referenced during the stream of like where they play in L.A. and they have like 3,000 people in the stands, they pack them in on the side opposite the camera to make it look like there's more going on. They pump up the audio. They have the American Outlaws to lean on to get that crowd audio.
So we're not sure.
We can't be sure from what we saw of what it was.
Is there anything we can glean from, you're fairly sure? Is there anything we can glean from Pulisic's celebration where he points to his ears?
Okay, so Pulisic's celebration, I just read, because I was trying to understand what the hell was happening with this whole situation. He just pulled up his shirt and stuff. So Memo Ochoa apparently during the week said that Mexico is the mirror against which the United States looks at itself. So
Soccer-wise or just in general?
Soccer-wise. So Mexico is the standard, and the U.S. looks at Mexico.
Gabriel Garcia Marquez.
This is really poetic. And apparently, Chris Pulisic's shirt said, "Man in the mirror." Which is, if this is like deliberate, this is so epic. This is like a level of nuance to shithousery that I've never even witnessed in any sport. This is like they're writing fiction in front of us.
I wish he wrote it in Spanish. Like Landon Donovan, like the best shit wrote it in Spanish. This would have been epic as fuck.
Next time, buddy.
Man, that's what was so fun with like Landon Donovan, because like he speaks Spanish and he just like shit on people. Like I think that's what made like Mexico more pissed about it. I think if
Landon Donovan has a unique ability to piss people off.
Well,
It's on another level.
I think Pulisic has a lot of that in him.
Yeah.
I think there's a potential where Pulisic is like a lifetime villain for Mexico fans, which would be just
light side, dark side.
Yeah.
We've been doing a little light side, dark side. We've got Pulisic dark side, maybe a surprising pick for some. We have Weston McKennie dark side as well, with his witch hair, and we've got Kidland Tyler Adams light side. Ricardo Pepi still developing. We don't know yet.
The Ray of this situation.
Yeah, and Brendan Aronson is like someone's uncle. He's not a Jedi.
Brendan Aronson's not a Jedi, you're sure? Wow.
All right.
Wow.
He's a Padawan. So he can go either way.
What did we think of this game?
I thought it was a little quiet. It was a little quiet by his illustrious U.S. standards. But he I think getting scraped in the face is actually does say something. You don't get scraped in the face if you don't matter.
There you go.
Right? So he was at least annoying enough to elicit a scrape. I forgot to say why I hated the ref.
Oh, yo.
First of all, no yellow.
No yellow. Let's talk about the red card incident.
That's what I'm saying. No yellow on the Aronson thing. And then before the end of this game, Miles Robinson somehow gets a red card. It's, by the way, right after Pulisic gets hacked hard by Ache to no effect, to no avail. Nothing happened.
Bishop boy.
Bishop. And then immediately after, almost the next play, Miles Robinson maybe brings someone down on a counterattack. Fine, it's a yellow. It's a
maximum. It's a hand on the shoulder.
Max yellow. How many words does Miles Robinson get out? 2 to 3 words. I don't know what 2 to 3 words he chose, but it immediately turned the yellow to a red somehow. Whatever he said to the ref.
There's a select few words that he could have chosen.
Yeah.
And I don't think that Miles Robinson is that. I just think this was some bullshit.
Yeah.
Some bullshit.
Yeah.
How how you can not get sent off? Like, it is so fucking hard to get sent off as a Mexican national team player. It's
So ridiculous.
unbelievable, the things that they have done. The amount of times they've kicked U.S. players in the face, choked U.S. players straight up, like hands on the throat, hands in the eyeballs. This is not acceptable. What else is the red card for? This is insane.
I mean, I tell you, he was just on a power trip. I think we were watching it. And how, like, one Mexican player tried to get back at him, and he was just like, what? Like, he was just on a power trip. Let's be real. Because, I mean, during that first stuff after fucking with Brendan Anderson and everything, I mean, nobody was going after the ref. He was trying to talk to him. We were all going after, so he gave out his yellow cards. But in that, the minute he went back at him, I'm sure I don't know if he was with Miles Johns. I don't know. We don't know what he said. But, like, it's definitely getting kicked off because of the foul, what should have been foul.
Yeah.
With Pulisic.
Yeah.
On the other end of the field, like.
Yeah, it feels like he was just like projecting his own,
The ref was.
anxiety or anger.
Yeah, the ref was like, yeah, he was like having a moment of some kind.
He was having some sort of spiritual moment.
And it was, I mean, like, if I was uninvolved in this, if I was a neutral in this, the ref would have been my favorite part of this. He's hilarious. He's a hilarious guy.
Chaos.
Yeah, and he just kept his facial expressions, everything. He did something early on in the game that made DeAndre Edlin point at him and laugh, which I want to know so badly what the ref said to DeAndre Edlin. It'll be fun. We can pull that back.
We can live and shit. Yeah. I would pay so much money to have like proper field audio to just hear all the shit that gets yelled. It would be incredible.
It would be incredible.
They were saving it for a nice document.
That's right. That's right. For the all or nothing match.
Whatever. They made that Zizou film.
Yes, exactly. Yes, I would love a doc. So where do we go from here? We got Jamaica away. It's Tuesday night. I think it's like 6:30.
If he doesn't fucking pull the squad rotation shit again.
Well, what do you think is going to happen? In all seriousness, is Berhalter about to rotate 7 players?
I can't imagine. This is not the window to do that because it's a 2-game window, not a 3-game. So this is the window where you don't have to rotate. So if he does it, it's freaking idiot. Now we have the issue that we thought we might have.
Yes,
because
Robinson is now suspended.
We didn't bring our best center back.
Yep.
Presuming him to be our 5th or 6th best center back. Now we're down a center back, and so it's going to have to be Zimmerman and McKenzie starting.
I think it would be Richards.
I would go with Richards, but I don't have any indication that Greg trusts Richards yet.
Richards came on in this game.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I like that.
I think McKenzie in the Nations League final. I mean,
he was all over the top.
Yeah, rough.
And I guess I don't know about his form in Belgium right now, but it seems to be on his dates.
Well, enough to get him picked over John Brooks.
Over John Brooks is starting and winning games in Champions League and Bundesliga.
Yeah, like literally.
I don't know what else John Brooks had to do to show his form was sufficient. I feel like there was something else going on there, and that was just.
I mean, maybe they asked not to release John Brooks.
Maybe, or I don't know, some personal stuff.
But also, I mean, I'm sure also John Brooks is. I mean, it's USA next to him. I mean, the dude must be pretty beat right now. I don't know. It is a mystery. You can speculate. But at this point,
it's whatever shit there was that caused him not to be here. This is the situation where we are. Yeah, it would really shock if we got kind of exposed for the lack of depth.
This is a really important moment because this win looks way different if we draw or, God forbid, lose to Jamaica. Yeah. There's a lot of momentum here. I mean,
so we're at the halfway point of Paul. The U.S. has 2 points per game, which is way above the line that you need to fall. That's exactly. U.S. has firmly passed the first half of qualifying. It would be difficult for the U.S. to not qualify from this point. It would be pretty shocking for the U.S. to. Now, all that said, we care also about how the team develops and grows, and
The U.S. has gotten better each stage.
So yeah, so I agree.
Except for that one
US, I think the U.S. Well, even I don't know. I feel like the trend is towards a cohesion, towards a style that is building.
Yeah.
So I'll give credit to Berhalter for that. After all
Hey,
that,
boy, psilocybin Berhalter, post-COVID Berhalter.
If he lost this, was he?
No. At this point, he is unfireable.
he's unfireable.
Well, yeah, because of friends.
Well, he was unfireable to begin with, of course. But at this point, he is, to me, unfireable. Because
of this win.
Because of this win.
But if they did not,
if they had lost tonight,
it would have been. I think it would have been the end.
The conversation opens up. I don't think it would have been the end. It wouldn't have been the end for me if they had lost tonight, as far as my Greg opinion was. But it depends on how they lost. So if they go out, if they play Mexico, and I don't understand the starting lineup, for instance, and we lose, then it's a much different conversation than
George Bello at goalkeeper.
Right. We see a starting lineup that makes sense to me for the most part.
Totally.
If it didn't go our way, I would. So if both halves were like that first half, and we just let in Mexico, I would say it's hard to fault Greg for that.
I would agree. I think what it is. Yeah, I mean, aside from Brooks, like the lineup was reasonable. The tactics seemed totally standard, reasonable.
Yeah, it's a weird thing with him. I think part of what's happening with Berhalter is that the players on the field are so fucking dope that to go from being fans of people like Weston McKennie and then to kind of like shift your gaze slightly to the left and see Greg Berhalter is just it's not very incommensurate.
It's very And can we talk about Tim Weah?
Man of the match.
Oh my God.
Man of the match. Some Vince fan, Tim Weah.
Sitting here in New York City, the birthplace of future international world potentate. Yeah. Timothy Weah. He had his best game in the U.S. shirt, as far as I can remember. Man of the match. Even in games where he found a way to score goals, or the game where he kind of forced the own goal against Costa Rica. I feel like this game he controlled what the U.S. was doing on offense. He contributed in a way that I've never seen.
Well, he contributed in a way that we've been seeing Aronson contribute a lot, which was he was the speed up.
Yeah,
he was the giddy up guy.
Yes. Yeah, he was dictating the pace. He was pushing Mexico into uncomfortable situations and found a way to capitalize. That cross, it was unbelievable. I think if you look at it, from I think like to a person who doesn't watch a lot of soccer, it wouldn't look like much. But we've seen so many players try to make that cross, and that cross usually ends up, maybe it goes out for a corner, or maybe it floats over the crossbar. But to turn, like, it doesn't even look like he has any sort of angle. He's almost like a foot behind the defender when he hits the ball. And for the ball to just shoot directly at Pulisic's head from that angle is just stunning.
That was, I mean, that's a champions. That's a goal of champions. It is literally Timothy Weah defending Ligue 1 champion with and some European champion. Christian Pulisic. I mean, Weah though, like that cross, I was so sure was just gonna deflect out for the corner.
Yeah.
I cannot believe.
I know. It was
It was inches, and it was like, wow.
Well, it does blow my mind.
And to your point, as a Mexico fan, I mean, you have to be thinking like, this is fucking unfair. They've got a French champion crossing to a European champion. Like, what happened? How did the tide turn so fast? When they were on the upswing, they
should have been on Scuff's Twitter. They would.
Yeah, I know. They don't have to help.
We knew this was happening for a long time.
But the talent gap is starting to develop as these guys get older. They get more into their mid-career. It's really starting to emerge that the U.S. actually is more talented. I keep saying it because I can't believe it myself. But I think it's real.
Liga MX is in such like a weird position right now. I feel like MLS was more money than Liga MX now.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of money that MLS over the past decade have been, all these kinds of investment in youth academies is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, Mexico's just been complacent to me. I don't know. Like,
well, and Mexico hasn't had a lot more potential to reach. Like Mexico has been operating at a max that has been very, very good and has made them one of the most, if you look at it in aggregate, one of the most successful national team programs in history. They've made it to so many World Cups. They've had great runs. They've had great historic players.
You never got out of the round of 16.
But I get that. But yeah, if you cut down the world nations to the teams that have just made the round of 16, it's the last 5. It's like World Cup.
25 teams.
It's like 5 teams who have actually made it to the knockout stage of all of those World Cups.
Oh, all each time. Yeah. I was like, well, there's 16 in one of them. No, but you mean consecutive knockout rounds?
Yeah,
it's 5 teams.
Yeah. So to me, Mexico has achieved a lot, but there's just not much more oxygen there to burn.
Yeah.
And what we've always thought is that the U.S. had all this potential that they could put together, and it's almost like overwhelming to see it kind of come to fruition. You just think it's a dream.
It's not a
reality.
It's not a dream.
We're
made it, folks.
Yeah.
We made it to the promised land.
Oh my goodness.
May there be many more to come. Join us.
I think part of it also, especially in Mexico, salaries are good. Salaries are good there. So if you're there, you're a stud and you got an Nike.
Life is good.
Yeah, life is good. You're probably not going to make as much because chances are you're going to have to go to the Netherlands or Portugal where you can make that into a bigger club. You're not going to make as much.
Just not all these Jordan Morrises over there.
Yo, pretty much. It's literally
That's hilarious, but
actually, Jordan Morris. It's wild. It is wild. I mean, MLS used to have that reputation. Yes, nationally has that reputation. Our squad used to be like half or more MLS players.
But the guys, I mean, to be fair, on the Mexican side, the guys who were the most prominent on the field today are players who have Herrera, Chico, Jimenez. And they still didn't have enough. Now, the big wrinkle is when we go to Azteca, can this team possibly look as good as it has looked?
You know what? I have been the rate of improvement that our Nats have shown over the past 6 months is unbelievable. I have seen things I never thought I would see. I didn't think they would win the nation. I didn't,
we didn't think they would win the nation.
They just keep surprising.
Yeah.
I thought they might win tonight, but not like this. This was a different thing than I thought was going to happen. So at this point, with the Greg Berhalter experience and with this team in general, going into the Azteca, I'm going to go ahead and just benefit of the doubt.
Who knows?
Just say, who fucking knows? I'm going to tune in.
Let's be bullish. Let's be bullish.
It might, this could really, really go our way. Let's find out.
I love it. Well, we got to get past Jamaica at the office first.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yo, when was the last time we went to Jamaica for a qualifying and final stage? Oh, actually, literally the last.
We've gone, but it hasn't always been good. It hasn't always been good. The U.S. has pulled away wins there, but more frequently than in Mexico. But it's always been a tough place to be. Now, I believe though that they are, at least for this window, there are no fans because of COVID. So that would be a big factor because the crowd in Jamaica is usually pretty low.
This is like probably one of the best squads.
Well, it has been, it is talent-wise, but they haven't been able to access all of that talent. Not everybody's been, haven't really been able to pull it in anything cohesive. So I think their team is in, it's not in a great place. They have some individual talent that maybe could wake up, but they haven't been able to put it together. So I think it's a very passable test for the U.S., but it gives us kind of another opportunity to look at this CONCACAF road sort of myth, bugaboo thing that the U.S. has. And look, if you can beat the players that they beat today as convincingly as they beat them, you can beat Jamaica at home.
Hell yeah.
You can beat Jamaica.
I
don't want to hear any fucking.
don't want to hear no bullshit. I do think we're going to see more changes than you would like to see. I just want to get you mentally and emotionally.
McKinney's not gonna be there, Miles Robinson's not gonna be there.
Yep, suspended. We're going to see Turner. I think we see some Busio action, which I'm all about. I'm all about the Boost train, the Boost cruise.
Take me on that boost
Hop on it. I think Jesus Ferreira starts.
Ferreira over Pepe to start.
Yeah. I'm not saying what I want.
Right.
I'm just telling you what is going to happen.
Pulisic off the bench again.
Pulisic off the bench at best. At best.
Pulisic off the bench, I think, is a smart choice.
Yeah.
Given everything.
Oh man, and he's shredded.
Dude, Chelsea would not.
I know.
He would not be happy.
I think if we go into the second half with the lead, I think he might not play.
Yeah, absolutely. If we don't need him, why use him? Yeah, that makes sense.
Reggie Cannon will play.
I mean, like, he's solid right now, but then I really, Yunus Musa.
Musa was irreplaceable. He was the factor that tipped the scales for the U.S.
In terms of technique and possession. And there's this thing that's happening now where for a while it was like the U.S. can't be the U.S. without Pulisic. And then and we can't replace Pulisic, right? Then it was like, can we get some players to complement Pulisic?
To kind of be like Pulisic.
And then it was like, we can't be the U.S. without Tyler Adams, right? We have no one who can replace Tyler Adams. We're fine without Pulisic. Mm-hmm. And now Yunus Musa and Weston McKennie are becoming these players that it's like hard to imagine what the U.S. would be without Yunus Musa on the field. Yeah. And we just keep cranking out more dudes like that.
So many irreplaceable players.
Yeah.
That they can actually be replaced.
That they're totally replaceable.
Yes.
At this point.
Well, yeah, they can't necessarily individually be replaced, but none of them is making such a big contribution that we can't wait without them.
Or there's just someone waiting who is going to make a different, but also very awesome contribution, like Tim Weah was for the past year. He's just been waiting.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love it. Well, and do we think that the U.S. can actually replace and succeed without Jack Stevens?
Yeah, because we have Ms. Hardar. We have.
Let's talk about this.
We have Max. We have Max Turnout.
So in the official Google listing, the official Google lineup for this game, which I presume comes from a source, probably comes from the name of the U.S.
Pro Evolution Soccer.
The name of the U.S. goalkeeper is Jack Stevens, and you can click on it, and it leads to a page that says Jack Stevens with a picture of Zach Stevens. And I recognize that this kind of glitch could happen anywhere to anyone, but it feels, to me, it is emblematic of something I noticed today, walking around New York City all day, which is nothing, no attention. I'm the only person wearing a U.S. shirt. There's no advertising, there's no energy to this kind of game. And this is one of the biggest dates on the calendar for U.S. soccer, and it feels like such a waste. How much money are we spending on all sorts of shit can't spend some money to get some billboards to tell people that the U.S. is playing the most important games that it's playing? I mean, come on.
I think New York City is definitely a soccer city, but it's not a U.S. national team. It's not an MLS city by
Yeah.
any means.
But why not? That's what I'm trying to get at.
Because
I want that to change.
I think one thing, well, I mean, we are a city of immigrants, people all over. That's why I think we've got one qualifier here against Costa Rica, and we fucking lost.
That was a bad choice.
Yeah, like I mean, it's that we're a city of immigrants. It's there's obviously dual loyalties. Of course, there's U.S. fans all over the city, but I think also whereas with Cincinnati, Columbus, like those, what's the Colorado, Seattle, and stuff. I mean, MLS, the ownership groups out there with those franchises, they did it right. They turned them into soccer cities. Come when U.S. national team is going to be on, it's going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
And they also don't have as much going on. Whereas in New York, NYC, Red Bull's out in New Jersey. Nobody cares.
No one gives a fuck.
Sorry.
NYCFC botched that whole shit.
They really
They
did.
were stuck in Yankee Stadium. Nobody gives a fuck. That first supporter group that team was a joke because they were like, we're going to do the anti-ESC, which is basically dumb as shit. And it just turned off a lot of people.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say if there was, and we'll see what happens. I'm curious to see this Queensboro FC this coming season.
What's up with that? Tell me about that.
It's the USL Championship. David Diaz co-owner. They're literally opening the first soccer-specific stadium in New York City.
Wow.
On the site of York College, in Jamaica, right by Jamaica, 179 Street Station, Larry, Dave.
Oh, yeah.
All going through there, yeah. It was good, but I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, I mean, this isn't a U.S. soccer city. It's not an MLS city. It's not a national team city. And also, we got Cincinnati. The red season is done. The Bengals are going through some bullshit right now. University of Cincinnati.
But I love what you point out about the soccer specific. What's the name of that team?
Queensboro FC.
Queensboro FC. I want to know about that because if anybody was to be the New York City dude who would care about, the NYCFC supporters, it's you. If it was dope, you'd be a part of it. So Queensboro FC.
I want to check it out, but I think it's not going to be what MLS is, what Cincinnati was going to the league, or what.
But
Toronto
this is what I'm talking about. This is soccer culture, right? We don't need it to. It doesn't need to be. Doesn't need to be a fancy shiny MLS franchise.
No, but I think what I'm saying is NYCFC's botched it because look at LAFC when they came into the league.
Oh my God.
Brand new stadium, smack in the middle of the city, great location. Will Ferrell is like co-owner. Lots of hype. The first player they brought in was who the fuck?
Bella.
Yeah, Carlos Vela. Like big shit. NYCFC comes in. Okay, Abu Dhabi Group, City Football Group comes in to own it. Okay, Yankees have a 20% stake. All right, cool. They botched the Frank Lampard thing so bad because he was supposed to be their big signing, and then it turns out, he's actually still signed to Manchester City, not NYCFC. He's not going to be here till next year, and then he comes, and it's like not anything special. They're stuck in Yankee Stadium. They don't have this, brand new shining stadium to be like, yeah, this is awesome. Their outreach was, quite frankly, terrible. I mean, you look at their supporter group compared to the other ones in the league, they're a fucking joke. They had issues with fucking neo-Nazis going to matches too.
That's gross.
Yeah.
So what's it going to take then? What will it take for the U.S. to matter in New York?
Yeah, and so there's a larger question in there, which is that we're the only country where the national team has to fight to get attention. The national team, by default, should get attention because it represents a country that we love.
I was like, am I thinking crazy?
What am I missing?
But honestly, but also
this city is the crown jewel of an incredible nation that is represented by this soccer team of incredible soccer players who are international, who are dual nationals. So what I just don't get about it is why New York wouldn't care. And it's not just New York. I'm taking that as emblematic of like a broader like just lack of understanding, lack of knowledge. And we're trying to work on that. Like we're trying to do our part.
You guys Patreon.
Patreon subscribers, you're doing your part. You're doing your part. But what do we got to do to make this better?
Wait for a World Cup.
Yeah. I think 2018, because I remember 2014,
We have to do really well.
The national team was on all the back pages.
Yeah, we have to do well in a World Cup.
Even New York.
Because the women's national team has the country's attention. America just doesn't give a shit about losers. We just can't handle it. And so
Even if it's us.
Especially if it's us.
Yeah.
We can't support
People like booing.
That's a weighted example, but what sports are we bad at in the Olympics? Nobody cares. No Americans support American teams that are bad at stuff. We support Americans that win at stuff. We are privileged to have enough options. So for this to change, the U.S. men's team will need to win some shit.
All right. Well, I can accept that.
Not just win. I mean, I think momentum was lost, not qualifying for 2018.
Yeah.
Because I remember, 2010, that moment landed on it. Yeah. That's really when the national
big picture.
Big picture. Like, and that was all over the sports channels that fucking played for a week. 2014, we got out of the knockout stages. Back page of the Daily News literally just said, what was it? 4 more to go. And like
4 more to go.
Yeah,
wow,
you remember this?
Oh, that's crazy.
Like, yo, and like it was big, getting out of the knockout stage and finally, overcame Ghana. Like, the time was the time. 2018, we don't qualify, and it's just like, wow, what now? But I mean, I will say, honestly, man, I see kids in like Pulisic jerseys and shit. Like,
I see it in Jersey. I see it by me. I see more soccer jerseys than I see any other sport. And I see U.S. jerseys.
It's just the Commonwealth Cup is going to change it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's about to pop off. Like, I've noticed sometimes, like, the president comes to New York City, and nobody gives a fuck. It's just like another, like, nobody in New York cares about anything that happens in New York. So you gotta really push it.
That's why they throw these qualifiers in fucking Cincinnati, Columbus, Nashville.
Somebody, give that to someone who cares.
At the very least, we can get Zach Steffen.
Okay, y'all.
All right, y'all.
We did it. I love a lot of things. I love tamari almonds. They're not made of soy. It's tamari, so don't worry about it. Gluten free. We got roasted unsalted cashews. I love those too. Fuck with those. My favorite nut option at the grocery store.
Nut option. Oh my goodness.
Unsalty. This is a true product. It's called unsalty nut mix. Try it out. It's not actually my favorite. It just tastes good. And I also like Munster cheese, but I don't like any of that shit as much as I love the nuts. Let's go, boys.
Wait, do we get men of the match?
Yeah, let's do the clip. We'll put this after the credits.
I got Timothy Weah.
Tim Weah.
If not Tim Weah, Weston McKennie.
I kind of want to just, for valor, shout out Miles Robinson. I don't think he deserves it necessarily, but I just feel like
he definitely sacrificed.
Yeah, he's something.
I gotta go for Jack Stevens.
Hey, yeah, Jack Stevens. Yeah, it's the best Jack has ever played. Definitely. First and last.
Hell yeah. All right, y'all. Thank you for being here.
Dude.